Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. At the very outset, I am really grateful to Professor R.K. Mittal sir, who is the presently the Vice Chancellor of Chaudhry Bansilal University. And my thanks are due to you also, and for giving me an opportunity to discuss whatever I have learned in my life with the budding researchers, with the academicians, with the galaxy of academicians, I should say, from the entire country. And you have stated that there are some international participants as well. In fact, you have assigned me a very, very difficult and challenging task, sir. I believe I should be able to meet your expectations. In fact, the topic for discussion which has been assigned to me, that is regression analysis. There are, in fact, it is the analysis of the data nowadays which has become very, very important. Be it qualitative research, be it quantitative research, analysis of the data has all of a sudden it has become very, very important, because every now and then, in fact, I should say that in every walk of our life, we are dealing with variety of data, and this data comes again in multiple forms. So then, which particular methodology will be better to deal with a given type of data? That is really becoming very, very challenging for the researchers. Therefore, in today's lecture, I will discuss the meaning of linear regression. I believe I have been assigned 1 hour to rush through the topic of regression analysis, and my lecture will be spread out in this manner. I shall discuss the meaning of linear regression, then what are the important assumptions of this particular, one of the most important technique, and then we shall do an autopsy of the results of the regression which shall be obtained with the help of MS Excel. My dear academician friends, in fact, regression as a technique is very, very important, and the results of regression can be obtained with the help of even a very simple software. There is no need of sophisticated softwares, time series softwares like eViews or Stata, etc., etc. You can obtain the results of regression on MS Excel itself. Many times my students ask me that we want results of the regression on SPSS or on eViews. Then my question to those friends would be that what is the difference between the results which you will be getting from MS Excel and the results which will be available with the help of eViews or Stata or Minitab or any other sophisticated software tool? There won't be any difference. Therefore, it is meaningful, and what is important for us is to understand what are the results and how can we interpret those results so that we can make a meaningful contribution towards the research. So I will be sharing a screen which will be on Excel, and a PPT is also there. In fact, I have already sent the PPT to the organizers, which will be sent to all of you, which will be shared with you in due course of time. And yeah, please pardon me for not being able to, make use of this new technique. In fact, this is a real online platform is really a challenge. Whether the person is young one, or the person is is the experienced one. Yeah, here comes the PPT which I am going to share with you. Are you able to see this PPT, sir? Any one of you can confirm whether you are able to see the PPT on your screen?
It is visible now. Yes, sir.
Is it there, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. Once again, I am really grateful to the organizers for providing me the opportunity to discuss one of the important technique of linear regression. In fact, linear regression or the results of linear regression are used in all types of even I should say complex methodologies as well. In linear regression, it is a sort of predictive analysis analytical technique which is used to predict the behavior of the dependent variable given the variety of independent variables. The overall idea of regression is to of linear regression is to examine the two important things, and these two important things are: does a set of predictor variables do a good job in predicting the outcome? Suppose you want to predict the behavior of the consumers on the basis of the constructs which you have identified with the help of one of the important model, which is called technology adaptation model, or an extension of that model. In fact, one of the important construct in that is perceived ease of use. With the help of perceived ease of use, you want to predict the behavior of the consumer, whether the consumer will or the person will use a particular technique or not. Here, the predicted variable will be the behavior of the consumer, and the predictor would be the independent variable, which is the perceived ease of use. So we would like to understand whether the construct which we are using to predict the behavior of the dependent variable is useful in predicting or not. Secondly, the variables which are used for predicting this type of behavior are significant predictors or not, whether the outcome which is being explained by those explanatory variable is significant or not. In linear regression, there are certain assumptions, as the name itself indicates, that we shall assume that there is a linear relationship between dependent variables and independent variables, and this linear relationship can be understood with the help of very simple equation, which can be stated like this: y equal to a plus bx plus e. Here I should mention that a is the intercept of the line, y is the dependent variable, x you can have other independent variables into, you can add other independent variables into this equation as well. But for the purpose of understanding, I have included only one variable over here, that x is the independent variable, and here b is the regression coefficient. A is the intercept of the line, b is the regression coefficient, and e is the error term. Perhaps you would appreciate that irrespective of the fact which predictive technique is used by the researcher, you won't be able to forecast the behavior of the dependent variable in the most accurate manner, in 100%, I should say, correct manner. Therefore, some errors are bound to happen, and those errors are shown by the symbol E. You may call it noise also, you may call it error term also, you may call it any other unpredicted behavior of the dependent variable, etc., etc. These variable I have stated, dependent variable is also known by the name endogenous variable or criteria variable or regressant. These are the different names. Similarly, independent variable is also termed as predictor or regressor, etc., etc. So here I am showing a regression line to you. On x-axis we are showing the independent variable. On y-axis we are showing the dependent variable. Suppose on x-axis we are showing perceived ease of use. I will be using this example throughout my discussion. And on y-axis we are showing the technology adaptation intention of a consumer. Then this is the perhaps this straight line is the regression line which we have obtained with the help of regression analysis. The equation of this line is y equal to a plus bx plus error term. This a plus bx plus error term, these are also referred to as the parameters of the regression line. In fact, allow me to add a cap over them. This cap indicates that these are the expected values of the parameters of the population parameters. You may also call them sample parameters. Therefore, this expected value of y, which will also be read as expected y or predicted y or y cap, which is now equal to a cap plus b cap and then some given value of x. Given the value of x, we can predict the value of y. Now, if you are going to scatter the values of x and y, you may find that there is some sort of relationship. Here I may find that there is some sort of relationship, and this relationship is the positive one. Then a regression line has been obtained with the help of regression analysis. Then the values which are lying on the lines, these are the exact values, but at times there will be a difference between the predictive value and the actual value. These dotted points are indicating the actual values of the dependent variable, whereas the values which will fall on the regression line, y equal to a plus bx, these will be the expected values. And there will be a difference between these values, and that difference is referred to as noise or the error term. In fact, the greater the degree of scatteredness, the less potent will be your regression model. Therefore, the idea is to find out a line which best fit through the data which has been given to you. If there is a linear relationship between the variables, then you can very easily find out the regression lines. Okay, let me now rush through the applications where the regression analysis can be applied. Regression analysis can predict the strength of the predictors. It can be useful. It can be used for forecasting. It can also be used for forecasting the trend of a time series data, etc., etc. These are the few of the numerous uses of the regression analysis. In fact, in structural equation modeling or in factor analysis as well, or in confirmatory factor analysis as well, what you will be using will be the regression equations only. Therefore, regression is immensely useful for the researchers. These are the few forms of linear regression which are used in these studies. These will range from simple linear regression to multiple linear regression. Then we may also have logistic regression, which is used for this special purpose, where the dependent variable is the binary one. Then ordinal regression, multinomial and discriminant analysis is also a sort of linear regression. Since I have to deal with simple linear regression or multiple regression, linear regression only, therefore I will confine myself to these two forms of regression only. Now, there are some important underlying assumptions of the linear regression which we must understand before we are going to use this very, very important technique. The first important assumption, as I have stated, it says that there exists a linear relationship between the variables. This linear relationship can be understood with the help of just a minute. Yeah, this linear relationship can be understood with the help of this scatter diagram. In this scatter diagram, we may find out that in second diagram, in fact, there is a non-linear relationship between the two variables. This is non-linear. Therefore, whenever you are dealing with the data, you should see what is the behavior of the data, what is the characteristic of the data. If you are able to find out with the help of scatter diagram, of course, if you are able to find out a non-linear relationship between the variables, then you should not use the linear regression. Perhaps, on the other hand, if the data is behaving like this, as you may see in the first figure, if the data is behaving like this, you may perhaps make out that there is a positive relationship between the x and y variable. Though the strength of the relationship may vary from in one example to another example, but there seems to be a positive relationship between the two, and the values are little bit scattered also. This can be due to the presence of outliers as well. Therefore, outliers can be identified by the researchers with the help of either with the help of scatter diagram, or you may also identify it with the help of sophisticated statistical tool. One of the important statistical tool which is used to identify the outliers is called Cook's distance. Cook's distance. This is a technique which you can use with the help of SPSS. So after ensuring the linear relationship between the variables, the second assumption is of normality. This normality can be checked either with the help of normal distribution curve or with the help of QQ plot as well. This QQ plot or normal distribution curve again can be obtained with the help of SPSS or with the help of MS Excel or any other statistical tool I'm sorry, which you are using. If there is no normality, then perhaps you may go for transformation, and one of the most important transformation which we are usually using in research, that is called log transformation. In fact, it is very, very common in finance to do the log transformation for the sake of normality. In fact, normality can also be checked with the help of a non-parametric test, which is called Kolmogorov-Smirnov test, or with the help of Jarque-Bira test, etc. It can also be tested with the help of coefficient of kurtosis, or it can also be tested with the help of skewness as well. If there is skewness, then the data will not be normal perhaps. And if the kurtosis coefficient is greater than 3 or less than 3, again, I will say that the data is not mesokurtic. In other words, it is not normal. Then there is an assumption of multicollinearity, and in fact, perhaps you will agree with me that if the number of independent variables, that is independent variables, is increased in the research, what will happen? Your prediction power, in fact, prediction power can be checked with the help of R square, coefficient of determination it is known as, with the help of R square. If number of independent variables are added or increased, then what will happen? Your R square will rise. Your R square will rise. Suppose you want to predict the technological adaptation intention of the consumer with the help of perceived ease of use. Maybe you have obtained an R square of 40%. Now, by including another construct into the equation, your R square has increased to 45%. Or maybe to 50%. Then with the help of third predictor, it has gone up to 70% or 80%. Then why should not we add more number of predictors? Why shouldn't we have more number of predictors in our regression equation? What is the harm in doing that? In fact, we must not do that, because at the end of the day, you may find that the predictors which have been included into the study, those themselves are related with each other. That is one of the fundamental flaw of regression, and it is one of the important mistake which is usually committed by the researcher. Therefore, we must refrain, and we must not have the greed of including more number of independent variables into the equation. We will have to control this greed of ours, because it may result in multicollinearity. Multicollinearity means your independent variables are related with each other. Therefore, your results will not be reliable. Your regression parameters will not be exact one. Therefore, forecasting will also be erroneous. This multicollinearity can be tested with the help of correlation matrix. If the correlation coefficient is greater than 0.9, etc., or 0.8, you may search for the references. There are references in the literature as well, which can be used for the same purpose. Then the second important method could be tolerance. Tolerance is the complementary of coefficient of determination, also known as coefficient of non-determination. Value of it is equal to 1 minus R square. If the value of 1 minus R square is less than 10% or 0.1, there is an indication that multicollinearity is there in your data. Therefore, you should drop some of the variables to remove this fundamental flaw in the data. There is another technique which can be used. It is known as variance inflation factor, which is the reciprocal of tolerance. The fundamental rule is that if the value is greater than 5, then there is multicollinearity. Some of the researchers also used a thumb rule of VIF being greater than 10. You may use any value, either 5 or 10, as per your own convenience. Then condition matrix, which is obtained with the help of factor analysis, it can also be used for the purpose of checking the multicollinearity. There are few other. Then there is another important assumption of autocorrelation. Autocorrelation means your successive terms are correlated with each other. When a variable is related with its own past, it is stated that the variable is having autocorrelation. If our error terms in regression are autocorrelated, then there will be a problem of autocorrelation. This problem of autocorrelation can be examined with the help of Durbin-Watson test. In fact, every software will provide you the value of Durbin-Watson test. The value of it will range up to 4 between between 0 to 4, as given here. If the value is near to 2, then there is no sign of autocorrelation. The thumb rule is that if the value is between 1.5 to 2.5, you may perhaps ignore the anomaly of autocorrelation. Otherwise, there will be either positive correlation if the value is less than 2, there will be negative correlation if the value is greater than 2. So accordingly, you may find out if your variable is having autocorrelation, then you need to correct it. Then there are few other assumptions as well. I will very quickly rush to them. The mean of the residuals is 0. This is the assumption. The x variables and residuals are, that it means predictors and residuals are not correlated with each other. Then the number of observations must be greater than number of x's. In fact, I was discussing that how many independent variables should be there in the regression equation. In fact, the question which is related to that is answered with the help of adjusted R square. I will explain the concept of adjusted R square as well. Because yeah, sir. Yes, you want to say?
Yeah. So there's a request. Participants are saying that your voice is getting little echo over there. If you have a headphone, it would be nice. You can use.
In fact, I don't have a headphone, sir. That is a problem.
Earphone.
Just give me 1 minute, sir. I will have that. Yeah, just 1 minute, sir. अरे खोलो ईयरफोन देना वो कहना आपकी वॉइस ना बोलो Yeah. Hello.
Sir, one more concern.
Hello?
Like if you can, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Can you listen me now?
Yes, sir. Better than before. One more request.
Is it better?
Yes, sir. It is better than before.
Yeah. In fact, your voice is not much audible to me now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I was saying one more thing, sir. If you can maintain the speed little slow, because some participants are saying.
What did you say, sir?
If you can maintain the speed of the session little slow.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir. You can continue, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. You can continue, sir. Continue, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, a few other assumptions which are important to mention here is that mean of residuals is 0. The x variables and residuals are uncorrelated. The number of observations must be greater than the number of x's. Okay. Now I will straightforward come to MS Excel. So I will be sharing an Excel file. Yeah. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. In fact, for the sake of saving some time, I have included two variables in my study. The first variable is x and the second variable is y. X is going to be our independent variable and y is going to be our predicted variable or regressand, you may say. In fact, with Excel, you will have to be little careful that you will have to make sure that your predictor variable is to the left of the predicted variable. The values which I have assigned to these two variables, these are the random values. You may have your own values as well. For example, we may have values. For that purpose, we may create some random numbers. So for that purpose, I may use the command rand between. So rand between will give me the values for the variables. So I may have my own lowest value. Maybe I want to have a value which will be having a lower value of 10. Then the maximum value can go up to 40. So it will give me, I can create an array with the help of this command
wherein the values will be between 10 to 40 and both values are inclusive. Similarly, I can have the values for the rand between for the dependent variable as well. For dependent variable, I am assuming that the values are between 55 to 80. So again, you can create the array for the dependent variable as well. This is how we can create the create some set of dependent variables values for the dependent and independent variables. So I will assume that you can do that with the help of either with the help of rand between function or with the help or by inserting your own values into the Excel sheet. So after having the values of x and y, now I want to see what is the behavior of this variable x and this bivariate data, which is x and y. I want to study the behavior, the relationship between these two variables, and that relationship can be very easily read with the help of scatter diagram, which you can have with the help of you can go to insert tab, then you may perhaps have the have this scatter diagram. In this scatter diagram, you may yourself observe that there is a positive linear correlation between the two variables, and there seems to be a high degree of relationship between these two variables. Though there are one or two scattered values as well, which you can identify on this diagram, but that scatteredness, the degree of that scatteredness is not much higher. So since the data seems to be linear, we can also have the equation of linear this regression line on this diagram. For that purpose, you will have to right click anywhere on the value, then it will show you a menu then in which it is written add trend line. You will be adding the trend line into your graph. Now a dotted trend line has been added. This trend line is based on linear relationship between the two variables. Here are the relationship which have been mentioned. By default, regression assumes that there is a linear relationship between the two variables. As per the nature of your data, you may choose any other type of relationship as well. For example, logarithmic or polynomial or power relationship. But here we are assuming that the data is linearly related with each other. You can set your own intercept, but it is always better to decide the regression, to let the regression decide the value of intercept. Suppose you want to see the equation of your regression line on chart as well, then you will have to tick in this box which says display equation on the chart. If you also want to read the value of r square on the line, again that box can also be ticked. It will also show you the value of r square. Let us now move further. Let me a little bit explain it to you. Y is the dependent variable which is equal to 76.781 plus 18.524x. Here 76.781 is the autonomous value which is irrespective of any value of x. You are if all independent variables are having a value equal to 0, then what will be the value of y? Then the value of y shall be equal to 76.781, which is also known as autonomous value or the independent value. Okay. Then the r square is the square of the simple coefficient of correlation. It is also known as coefficient of determination. This value of 0.8986 indicates that nearly 90% variations in the dependent variable can be explained with the help of independent variable. Therefore, this value is to a higher side. Therefore, we may say that x is an important predictor of y because the relationship, the strength of x is 89%. It can explain 89% variations in y, and the 1 minus r square will be your coefficient of non-determination. So this 18.524 is the slope of the line. 76.781 is the intercept of our line. This intercept value can be positive or negative depending upon what is the autonomous value of the dependent variable. Again, the slope of the line can also be positive or negative. The coefficient of this x can also be positive or negative. If the slope is negative, then you will get a negative coefficient. If the slope is positive, you will get a positive coefficient. Again, once we should also understood that whatever is the sign of correlation, the same sign will be will be for the regression coefficient as well, will be for the slope coefficient as well. Again, I have been most of us use regression coefficients and slope coefficients interchangeably. In fact, there is a difference between the two. This is for the sake of understanding only. There is a difference between the two. Slope coefficient only means your beta coefficient, whereas whenever we say that regression coefficient, then it includes both intercept as well as your slope coefficient. So in regression coefficient, both intercept and slope coefficients are included, whereas the slope coefficient is only the beta coefficient. Okay. So this is how we can have the values of the intercept and slope coefficient with the help of scatter diagram. Now we shall be we shall have it with the help of data. In fact, I should say, before I move further, I would like to suggest to you that there is an add-in function in your Excel. That add-in function is for data analysis. Make sure that that add-in has been activated into your computer. If that is not activated, you will not be able to in data menu. You won't be able to see the data analysis. You won't be able to see the data analysis tool. Therefore, you should ensure that that data analysis tool has been activated by all of you in your computer. That can be activated by going to File menu. In File menu, you will be having some options. In your options, there is an add-in. There is an add-in button. You can then, after clicking the add-in, there is a manage function. Then there is a drop-down menu in which Excel add-ins in written. You can click on Go. Then you can tick the add-ins which are available to you. Then click on OK. That add-in will be activated into your computer. Okay. Anyhow, let's move further and try to obtain the values of the intercept and slope with the help of MS Excel function only. Now, before going further, I will obtain some values for the purpose of interpreting the data. That these values are for the total. Then I will also require average value. I will also require the correlation value. I will also require the standard deviation for the sample. There is a difference between standard deviation for sample and standard deviation for population. Most of the time, we seldom have the entire data of population. Therefore, we should always compute the standard deviation of sample. Then we can also have covariance. Again, covariance should also be obtained for the sample only. Then we can also have the values of intercept and also of the slope of the regression function. Yeah. So for obtaining the sum of these values for both the variables, I will be using the sum function, sum of all the values which are there for both the variables. That sum is required to be obtained. So I am having 249 and 5457 respectively. Then average function will be used to find out the mean value, which is the arithmetic mean of yours for both the variables. Since the data ranges from B2 to B12 for X and C2 to C12 for Y, so you may yourself insert those values as well. Now I want the value of correlation. The correlation can be we can have with the help of correl function, CORREL. That is the exact syntax. It will require array 1. You should remember that correlation does not make any distinction between independent and dependent variable, because it is not a predictive technique. It is used for the purpose of understanding the relationship between the variable. It explains the linear relationship between two variables only. So this is how we will be having coefficient of correlation. Now I also want to see the standard deviation. Let me remove it. Yeah. I also want to see the standard deviation of sample for both the variables. That can be obtained with the help of standard deviation dot S, not P. In S, we divide the numerator by n-1, which is also known as degrees of freedom. In fact, I believe everyone is clear about that concept. So standard deviation we can have for both the variables. Again, give me some time to obtain all the values. Thanks for your patience. Now, covariance for the sample can be, we can have that COVARIANCE dot S. Again, you will have to mention the two arrays. Two arrays are in the form of X and Y variable. So those have been added. Now I want to see the intercept value as well. Intercept is, again, mention the Y's. Oh, sorry. You will be required to mention the, while computing the value of intercept with the help of MS Excel function, you should write the values for the dependent variable first, which will be your first array, and followed by the values for the independent variable, which will be your X array. It should give you the value of intercept. You can compare this value of 76 with the value which we obtained with the help of scatter diagram, which was again equal to 76.7807 only. Now, accordingly, slope value can also be obtained by inserting the values of the dependent variables C2 to C10, comma B2 to B10. So B12. B12. So we have got the slope coefficient as well, which is equal to 18.5237. 18.5237. So these are the intercept and slope values of the regression function, of the regression analysis. Now we should also appreciate the difference between correlation and covariance, my dear friends. Correlation is unit-free statistic, whereas covariance is not unit-free. Covariance is simply the sum of the multiplication of the deviations taken from the mean value for both the variables, and then divided by the total number of observations. It is not unit-free, whereas the correlation is unit-free. It is unit-free. Okay. Since the sign of correlation is positive, therefore the sign of regression coefficient will also be positive. Once again, the value of correlation will always lie between -1 to 1, whereas the value of covariance can be, it may assume any value. Its value can lie between -infinity to +infinity. Therefore, with the help of covariance, we cannot predict the strength of the relationship, whereas with the help of correlation, of course, we can predict what is the strength of relationship between the two given variables which you have chosen, which are also the underlying variables, okay, in your study. Yeah. Now, after just a bit, let me drop the pen. Yeah. After doing that, find out the deviations from the mean value for the dependent variable. Since we are going to predict the behavior of the dependent variable only, therefore we will have to find out the values of the dispersion for the dependent variable only. But before that, let me find out the values for the regression analysis with the help of data analytical tool, which we are having in our MS Excel only. In fact, for that purpose, you should go to data menu. In data menu, you have a data analysis function. In data analysis, you will get a pop-down window. In this window, we are having large number of functions. Then we also have regression functions. Just click on that regression functions. It will ask you for the values of the dependent and independent variable. Let me delete all the pre-assigned values. Now it is asking you for the range of the dependent variable and range for the independent variable as well. I will assign the range for the dependent and independent variable both in the designated boxes. In fact, this is the input for the y variable, and the input for the x variable is from B2 to B12, which I have inserted. Since I have not included the labels into it, therefore I must not check the label button. Otherwise, you need to tell the software that in your first row you have got the label, therefore that should not be counted for the purpose of doing the analysis. Since we have not included them, therefore I will not be ticking on it. If you want to assign your own confidence level, by default the confidence level in Excel is 95%. However, if you want to decide your own confidence level, 99% or maybe 90%, you can write down that confidence level into it. Now, by default, the output of for the regression analysis will be available in the next sheet. But I want the output in this very sheet only. I want to see that. Then I want to make a comment on the basis of that. I want to see it here only. Therefore, I have given a cell address into it. I also want to see the residuals. Now, depending upon your requirement, you may tick the other relevant boxes as well. Since those are not required, therefore I will click on OK now. Now the entire result, at the click of the button, this entire result is available with us. Now let me summarize. This is very, very important to interpret the data. Anyone can obtain the data by doing by clicking the buttons, but interpreting the data is of paramount importance for the researchers. There are in fact three panels. In first panel, you will get the results for the regression statistics. In second panel, you will get the results for the ANOVA. This ANOVA table explains how much variation in the dependent variable is being explained by the independent variable, and how much variation in the dependent variable is there which the independent variable is not able to explain. Then in the third panel of this result, of our results, we shall have the regression coefficients of intercept and slope coefficient and their values as well. Then their strength can also be judged with the help of t statistics or p value which have been assigned to us. Okay, let me now go through our results. Here we have in regression statistics panel we have multiple R first. This is nothing but the coefficient of correlation. This is your coefficient of correlation whose value is equal to 0.9479. You may find out that in our computation as well, the value of the R was equal to 0.94792. The same value has been obtained, has been given by the data analytical tools as well. So it is in fact, the nomenclature is multiple R, whether you are using one independent variable or you are using multivariate data. Nomenclature remains same, which is the value of it is equal to 0.94792, and the value of R square, here is equal to 0.89855,705, which is nothing but the square of multiple R. You may search it. You may look here. This is nothing but the square of multiple R. You should get the same value, which is equal to 8.89855,705, etc., etc. So this is the value of R square. It is the square of multiple R. It can also be obtained with the help of Excel function which is equal to RSQ. It will ask you for the values of the dependent and independent variables. So I am giving that range. That range was from C2 to C12 and B2 to B12. I have given that range. Now it should give me the value of the R square. Again, the value is coming out to be 8.8955. These are the different ways of obtaining the values of R square. The value of R square is equal to 0.89 in our case. Adjusted R square, I will come back to it, but you should always keep into consideration that the value of adjusted R square will always be less than R square. I will tell you how it is obtained. This is the standard error of regression. I will explain these two concepts at a later stage. Since we are having number of observations equal to 11, therefore a number equal to 11 is appearing in the observations column. Now let us move to the ANOVA table. In fact, ANOVA table is very, very important in understanding whether the regression model which has been fit into the data, whether it is a strong fit, whether it is a good fit or not. It can be understood with the help of ANOVA ANOVA results. In ANOVA, we are having different columns. The first column is for DF, which stands for degree of freedom. Second column is for SS, which is equal to sum of these squares. Sum of these squares. Then we are having mean sum of these squares. These are the mean sum of these squares. Then F value is there. Then whether or not F value is significant, that has been tested. In fact, this is nothing but your P value, which is also known as probability value. Okay, let us discuss them one by one. In in degree of freedom column, the first value is equal to 1. This value is also known as K. You may call it K. This is equal to number of independent variables included into the study. Since our independent variable is 1 only, therefore this count will be equal to 1. Number of residuals, my dear friends, number of residuals are always equal to degree of freedom for number of residuals is equal to n minus k minus 1. Therefore, in our case, it will be equal to 11 minus k. Since k was equal to 1 and subtract 1 from it, you should arrive at 9. Therefore, degree of freedom for the residual is equal to 9. Degrees of freedom for the residual is equal to n minus k minus 1, and k is the number of independent variable, which is the degree of freedom for the regression. Okay, now we shall move to the sum of the squares. But before going to that, I will explain how these two sums can be understood with the help of regression line. On x-axis, we are having the independent variable. On y-axis, we are having our dependent variable. Suppose this is our line of best fit, which is equal to y equal to a plus bx. In fact, these are the predicted values. Therefore, you should have a cap on the regression coefficients as well as on the predicted value of y as well. So this line should give you the predicted value of y. Now let me also scatter the actual values of y. So you may yourself observe that actual values of y are different from the predicted value of y. This difference between the actual value of y and the predicted value of y is known as error. Once again, I will repeat, the difference between the actual value of y and the predicted value of y is known as error. So this difference is called error. E. This is a symbol which will be used for it, that is error. Now suppose, let us assume that the mean of y is equal to a number. This is the mean of the y, which we have shown with the with the help of a horizontal line. Now the difference between the actual value up to the regression line, that will be due to chance, that will be due to error, whereas the difference between y and y bar, the difference between the actual value and the mean value, that difference is known as total variation. That difference is called total variation. Difference between actual value and the mean value is called total variation. Difference between the actual value and the expected value is called the unexpected variation, or the variation which is because of chance. Then the remaining variation is referred to as explained variation. Explained variation, which our regression model is able to explain. Variation which our regression model is able to explain is called explained variation. Which it is not able to explain is called unexpected or unexplained variation. And the total variation, which is also the difference between the actual value and the mean value, is called is the total variation in the dependent variable. Now I will once again come to these SS. Now this regression sum of the square is the sum of the squares of difference between this is the difference, as I have stated that. But before that, allow me to come to the total sum of the squares first. I'm sorry for that. Total sum of the squares first. Let us come to it. This total sum of the square is in fact the sum of difference between actual value of y minus mean value of y, and then you will have to find out the square of that. This is this value, y minus y bar square, and then take the sum of it for all the observations. Then you will arrive at SS. This is also known as total sum of the squares or SST in regression. This is our SST. This SS are some of the squares for residuals. Some of the squares for residuals is also known as sum of the squares for error terms. Sum of the squares for error terms. This is in fact equal to actual value of y minus expected value of y, which was our y cap. Find out the difference between the two, then square it, then find it, then take the sum of it for all the observations. This will give you the error sum of the squares for the data. This should give you error sum of the squares for the data. Now, the difference between total sum of the squares and error sum of the squares, should be equal to our regression sum of the squares, RSS. That is called RSS, regression sum of the squares. Regression sum of the square. This is this value. In fact, this is the difference between 422,552 and then 42865, which we have obtained. I can you must now see it better. Now this is also the difference between these two values, but we can directly find it out as well. This is equal to the difference between expected value of y and mean value of y. Find out the difference between these two values, square them, and then take a sum of those values for all the observations. Then you should arrive at the value of RSS. RSS is the regression sum of the squares. Now, if these regression sum of the squares values are divided by the degrees of freedom, then you will arrive at mean sum of the squares. I repeat, this is the column for mean sum of the squares. So you shall be having mean sum of the squares for regression, mean sum of the squares for residuals as well. So 37.379 divided by 1 should give you a value equal to 379 only. Then 42865 divided by 9, you should arrive at a value equal to 4762.77, which is the mean value. Now you will get the F statistics, the value for F statistics, by dividing the mean sum of the squares for regression, mean sum of the squares for regression divided by mean sum of the square for error term. It should give you the value of F statistic. In regression, we are using F statistics to check whether our regression model is a good fit or not. We are used for that purpose. We are using the F statistic. This F statistic, my dear friends, has a null hypothesis that all regression coefficients are equal to 0. I repeat, it has a null hypothesis that all slope coefficients, or you may also say that all regression coefficients are equal to 0. If the null hypothesis is that regression coefficients are equal to 0, then whether or not it is true, it can be tested with the help of p-value as well. If the value of p is less than your significance level, here it is coming in scientific notation. You may go to this column and then go to the number format. In number format, make it number, then you will get the exact value. This value is coming out to be 0.00 for our data. This value is equal to 0.00 for our data. Since it is less than our significance level is 95 at 95% confidence level, it is 5%. It is less than that. Therefore, we may say that our regression is a good fit. So our results are reliable. Okay. Now let us move to the third section of our result, which will show us the intercept coefficient and the slope coefficient. You may compare these two values of intercept coefficients and slope coefficients with the values which we obtained with the help of Excel functions. Again, these values are similar. Coefficient is 76.78 for intercept, and for slope the coefficient is 18.552. These values are same. Now these are the standard errors for the two regression coefficients. Now to verify whether or not these regression coefficients are significant, we make use of student t-test. We make use of student t-test, I repeat. And for these two regression coefficients, while using the t-statistic, while using the t-test, our null hypothesis would be the values of regression coefficients are equal to 0. In other words, I will assume that the value of intercept is equal to 0 and the value of regression coefficient is also equal to 0. That will be my null hypothesis. Now this null hypothesis will be tested with the help of a very simple ratio. That ratio is divide the difference by the standard error. Divide the difference by the standard error. This difference will be the difference between the actual value which you have obtained. Actual value for the intercept is 76. Assumed value is 0. The difference between the two values will be equal to this value minus any other hypothesized value or value which our regression has. Since regression assumes that this value is equal to 0, therefore I have entered 0 here only. Then I need to divide it by the standard error. In our case, this standard error is 51.366. So I will divide the difference by the standard error to arrive at the value of t statistic. Sorry. This is equal to difference. Since you are subtracting 0, therefore the value will remain same. Divided by the standard error, you should get a value equal to 1.49, which is nothing but our t value. You may find out that this value is coinciding with the value which we have obtained. So this is our t value. Generally, the greater the t value is, the better it will be. At 5% significance level, if your data is normally distributed and data is large enough, this value, or I may say that our t distribution will become normal distribution. Therefore, our standard value will be equal to 1.96. 1.96 only. Now, since t value is less than the tabular value or standard value of 1.96, therefore our null hypothesis could not be rejected for the intercept. Therefore, we may say that intercept is equal to 0, since that null hypothesis has not got rejected. So now we shall move to the slope coefficient. The value of slope coefficient is equal to 18.52. Let me find out the t value for it. The t value for it will be slope coefficient minus 0. It will not make any changes, divided by the standard error for the slope coefficient, which is in M19. It should give me a value equal to 8.92. Let us compare this value of 8.92 with 1.96 at 5% level of significance. Since it is greater, therefore we will be rejecting our null hypothesis, and we may say that this slope of 18 is different from 0. It is not 0. It is some meaningful number. 18.52 is a meaningful number. In fact, that can also be understood with the help of p-value. Again, I need to convert it into number format. I need to go to number format. So this value is coming out to be 0.00. That once again, it indicates that our null hypothesis has been rejected. Therefore, this value of 18.52 for the slope coefficient is significantly different from 0. Now, in residual output, you can get the predicted y and the values of the residuals. We can ourselves obtain all these values by doing the analysis ourselves. So, let me ask any one of you: Are we ready? Are you getting what I'm saying? Hello. Yeah. Any one of you may please tell me. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Are you making? Is it making sense to all of you? To any one of you may please reply.
Anyone having any doubt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all of
Hello.
them are saying yes, sir. So they are, I think, satisfied.
Okay. Thank you. So let us make these calculations ourselves now. In fact, I will at the first instance I will uh, get the variations in y and the mean value of y and mean value of y. So let me have y minus average value of y. With the help of it, we can find out the total variations in the dependent variable. So y minus average y is equal to this value of y C2 minus. Now, while going to the average value, you need to make sure that this cell is locked. You may need to make sure that this cell is locked. That can be it. This cell can be locked by inserting the address. So I have locked the value in the cell in which average value of y is there. So y minus average y I have obtained. This is giving me some values. I obtained all the values for y minus average y. Now I want a square of these deviations. Square of these deviations I want. So what I will be doing, this is equal to square of d2, square of d2. So this is equal to square of square deviations. Simultaneously, we can also have the total for all these values. So now this is your total sum of the squares, or you may also call it SST. Total sum of the squares. This value is coming out to be 422,552.9. Let us compare this value with the value which we obtained in the regression results. Are these two values are in fact same? Therefore, we are on the right track. This is the value for the sum of the squares for the total variations. Anyhow, let us move further, and now we shall find out the predicted value of y. Predicted, or you may also call it expected y. Expected y. Expected y is equal to, that can be obtained with the help of the regression equation. Sorry. Which says that y is equal to a plus bx. So we can find out the predicted value of y with the help of this equation. So expected value of y is equal to intercept. Intercept is in cell B18. So don't forget to lock the address of this cell, since it will always remain same. Intercept plus slope into, slope is in B19. Slope is in B19. So B19, again, once again, don't forget to lock it as well. Then multiply it with the given value of x. Since the value x is a variable, value of x will keep on changing. You will get the expected value of y on the basis of the given value of x with the help of intercept and slope values. So these are the expected or predicted values of y. These are the expected or predicted values of y. Predicted values of y. In fact, the total is not required. But does it make any sense to all of us? You may find out that the total of expected y and the total of the actual value of y will always remain same. If there is a variation, perhaps you have made some mistakes, so be aware. So now I will find out the difference between the actual value of y and expected value of y. Let me go through that. Y minus expected value of y. I also need to find out the square of it. That square will be sum of the squares for the errors. So let me square this value equal to square of it. I will get 1492. Then I will insert all the values. I need to find out the total of it as well. This total is not required. This total is coming out to be 42865. I need to confirm it with the total which we are having in the regression results. Here the total is 42865. If you want to see it in decimals, once again, you need to add the decimal values. Yeah, here are the decimal values as well. 42865.012, 42865.012. So these two values are also equal. Let me erase what I have written. Yeah, this was the sum of the squares for the errors. Now I need to find out some of the squares for the regression, which is also known as regression sum of the squares. So that is equal to the difference between the mean value and the expected value and square of it. Mean value and the expected value and then the square of it. You should always remember that mean value is only 1. Therefore, don't forget to log the address of this mean value function F4. F4, I wrote it. Since I require a square of it, therefore parentheses are needed. Minus the expected value or the predicted value. Predicted value is 394. Then I need to square it. I will be doing a square of it. Enter. You will get the sum of the squares for the regression, for first observations and for all other observations as well. Let us find out a total of it. Its total is equal to 379,687. Are these values same? Yes, these values are also same. So that is nothing but our RSS. That is our RSS. Now, since all the results have been obtained, we can now find out the value of R square with the help of one more formula as well. In fact, R square can be obtained in several ways. R square is equal to your total, it is equal to your explained variation. Explained variation is the sum of RSS, which is the sum of RSS divided by your total variation. Your total variation. So this is coming out to be your 0.898557, which is nothing but our R square only. So these values are also similar. So R square can also be obtained in this manner. It is equal to RSS divided by SST. RSS divided by SST. So that will give you the regression coefficient of determination. I'm sorry, coefficient of determination. Now let us move to the two important results which I have left for discussion. These two values are the values of adjusted R square and the values of value of the standard error. Okay, let us discuss them one by one. In fact, adjusted R square, since I have already mentioned that adjusted R square will always be lower than the value of R square. At the very beginning of my session, I ask you to refrain from the or not to use the more number of independent variables. In fact, that is desirable for the sake of parsimony. Otherwise your analysis will become quite complex. So for parsimony's sake, that is required. Secondly, to avoid multicollinearity between the independent variable, that is very much needed. Therefore, only relevant independent variables should be included into the study. But how much number is sufficient for including in the regression model? That we can decide with the help of adjusted R square. Adjusted R square. In fact, this concept of adjusted R square is based on the principle of cost-benefit analysis. The cost is in fact, the benefit is that since you are adding more number of independent variables into your regression model, therefore your prediction power will be higher. So that is the advantage which you will have with the marginal independent variable or the additional independent variable. But it will always come at a cost because you will also lose your degrees of freedom. Therefore, you will have to make sure that this R square value has been adjusted for the degrees of freedom as well, or for the cost which we are incurring for obtaining the better prediction. If If along with the value of R square, the value of adjusted R square is also rising, then it is better to include a given variable into the stud. But with inclusion, if your adjusted R square value is falling, if with the inclusion of a variable into the model, the value of your adjusted R square is falling, then it is always better to drop that variable or not to include that variable into the study. So this is how adjusted R square tell us. What our adjusted R square tell us. The value of adjusted R square, allow me to write the formula for it. The value of adjusted R square is in fact equal to 1 minus R square bracket closed. Many of you may say that 1 minus R square is nothing but your R square only. But then you need to multiply this portion 1 minus R square with a ratio, and that ratio is equal to n minus 1 divided by, that ratio is equal to n minus 1 divided by n minus k minus 1. 1 minus R square needs to be multiplied with n minus 1 divided by n k minus 1. In our case, k is equal to number of independent variables, which is equal to 1. N is equal to number of observation, which is equal to 10, which is equal to 11. I beg your pardon. It is equal to 11. So accordingly, we can find out the value of adjusted R square. Let us do it with the help of ourselves only. Let me find out the value of adjusted R square. It is equal to 1 minus R square. So I will be writing the values 1 minus, then once again 1 minus R square. 1 minus R square is here. So I will be giving the cell address 1 minus R square. Now this 1 minus R square needs to be multiplied with a ratio. That ratio is equal to n minus 1. What is the value of n minus 1? It will be 11 minus 1, which is equal to 10, which is equal to 10. 10 is to be divided by n minus k minus 1. N minus k minus 1 is equal to 9. We have obtained it here only. It is equal to 9. So I may either write just a minute, 1 minus L6, 1 minus R square into 10 upon 9. Yes, one more bracket is required to get the value of adjusted R square. This adjusted R square is coming out to be equal to 0.88. 0.88. As per this calculation, it is coming out to be 0.88. Let us compare it with the actual one. The actual value is also 0.88. Therefore, what our computation is correct. This n minus 1 into n minus k minus 1 is the penalty which we are giving to our R square. I repeat, this n minus 1 and upon n minus k minus 1, this has to be more than 1. This is a penalty which we are giving to our R square. Therefore, we are subtracting our actual value of R square with the cost which we are incurring. So since it has been adjusted for that, therefore now we should arrive at the true value of R square, which is 0.88. If with the inclusion of any variable, the value of adjusted R square is falling, then that variable is not fit to be included in the regression model. So let us now move to the value of standard error for the regression. In fact, this standard error for regression is nothing but your I should say square root of mean sum of the squares for the residual. I repeat, this is the square root of mean sum of the squares for the residuals. What was the value of mean sum of the squares? Let us find it out. In fact, it was equal to, what did we do? We find out the value of SSE, sum of the squares for all the errors. We divided it by the degrees of freedom, n minus k minus 1 n minus k minus 1. Sum of the squares for the errors divided by number of degrees of freedom. You should arrive at mean sum of the squares for the residuals, for the errors. Now, square root of it will be your standard error. That will be your standard error. Let us check it if it is true. Let us check it if it is true. Standard error of regression. Let me find it out. Equal to this mean value. I need to take a square root of it. So therefore, I will raise it to the power 0.5. I can also use the function of sqrt in Excel. So I'm getting a value equal to 69.01, which is matching with the real value. So this is how we arrive at the value of the standard error, and this is how the entire table of the regression results can be, can be a post-mortem of it or an autopsy of it. It can be made. Yeah. Now allow me to go to the results of residuals. These are our predicted values and these are our residuals. These residuals are nothing but the difference between the actual value and the predicted value. So you may compare that these values, these 11 values which we have obtained, are also matching with the y minus expected value. This is nothing but our residual. This is how the results of the regression can be, a post-mortem of the results of the regression can be made, which you can obtain with the help of any software of your own choice. I believe the discussion which I have, made in this webinar that has been meaningful, and for those who are comfortable with the quants, they can understand it and they can use it for themselves, and they can also teach it to their students also. It can also be used to predict the to differentiate between the this is meant for finance students only, to find out the difference between the I should say just a minute, explained variance and unexplained variance in case of finance, which is also known as I just forget that term is not coming to my mind, so please pardon me for that. So this is all from my side, and over to the organizers now.
Okay, sir.
I'm also ready for the questions which the participants may have.
Thanks a lot, sir, for this amazing informative session. As we can see, participants are really happy with the informative lecture over there. I would request Professor Ravi Prakash. Professor Ravi Prakash.
Yeah, I'm also open to the questions which participants may have, please.
Yeah, if any participant has any question, they can put a comment in the comment section as well. We'll wait for Dr. Ravi Prakash, Professor Ravi Prakash. Professor Ravi. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Thank you very much, Professor Ashish Mansanda ji. It was a very long and very elaborative lecture and on regression analysis. It could have been helped a lot to the participants because it's not so easy to understand the mathematical calculations. But